some of these massive expenditures in this $1.9 trillion, after we've talked for months about direct payments to American families, all we talked about in December was how much are American families going to get, person by person above the tax threshold. And so, of course, we're still debating whether or not the $1,400 is going to go to different families, but we have absolutely seen that money is going to go to organizations like Planned Parenthood. We have seen, pro-abortion, under the pro-abortion part of this fact sheet, Democrats blocked an amendment with Hyde language that would ensure the federal benefits used to pay for COBRA health insurance premiums are not used to provide abortion services. And this bill will maintain the ability for Planned Parenthood to receive PPP funds. Now, those funds were set up for, as we've seen, the PPP is a program by which different American businesses should be applying for interest-free loans to, bolster their business endeavors.
I hate to draw this analogy, but if you're going to have to, sacrifice your children to Moloch, you have to, make the ritual sacrifice. Every House Democratic bill with all these terrible things has to, pay tribute to Planned Parenthood, just like the pagans in the Old Testament, they had to sacrifice their children. That's what they're doing here. Yep. But it's sick and gross, but it's every utopia wish list bill has to have the millions or the billions or whatever.
That Moloch guy is a real jerk.
On top of abortion funding or funding for Planned Parenthood at the very least, we've seen the schools that have been kept closed throughout this pandemic will still be receiving tons and tons of money. Provides $130 billion on top of the $110 billion already given to schools on the last package, some of which has not yet been spent for reopening the schools. They need more money to reopen the schools that they still haven't reopened from last March. So $130 billion more dollars for schools. We have seen money will continue to go to colleges and universities who have partnerships with the Confucius Institutes in China. We have seen tons and tons of budget-busting spending. We have seen that stimulus checks will go to families with heads of household who are illegal immigrants. If they have an evidence of taxpayer filings, they will get the money as well, illegal immigrants. We have seen that there will be $50 million in funding for EPA environmental justice grants, and that's, just a variety of the spending. One last one extends PPP funds to business-owning violent criminals who have been found guilty of assault on police officers or non-consensual sexual crimes. Nothing major there. So what I wanted to kind of just forward to you guys first, Joe first, what is the most egregious part of this bill? What is the most egregious funding effort in this bill? And why do these bills keep getting pork rolled like this?
Well, because the Democrats don't see it as pork roll, do they? They see all of these things as interconnected in some form or another. They're all interconnected to the inequality that's come about because of COVID. So it doesn't actually make sense. It's utterly ridiculous that you would spend, millions on environmental justice or Planned Parenthood or any number of these ridiculous things. But what was your question? I went off on my tangent.
What's the worst? Most egregious pork roll, and you got to the second question.
I think it's the environmental question. I think it's the environmental so-called justice things, where it's just how is this related? This is something that the Democrats have been pushing for, a long time. We know. We know. It's just they're just trying to spend money on it. If you're going to spend money, why don't you buy me lunch? You could buy me a dinner for two from Popeyes with a Diet Coke. And these people are just ridiculous. They're spending money in these ridiculous ways, and they want to send us stimulus checks, right? Whatever, some libertarians are for that, some small market people are for that, but they're hoping that we'll forget all of the other stuff because we get some money in it. We get a tiny portion of that money, or whatever fraction of it that is, with the stimulus checks, and they get everything on their liberal wish list. It's embarrassing.
Look, Joe, by last I heard, by 2012, Florida is going to be completely underwater. So we really need to watch out for that. But there's a couple things that stick out to me there. The public school funding for schools that have remained closed, definitely bad, but also good because it's that sort of treatment and those sort of policies that are helping the school choice movement gain so much steam because parents are getting so pissed off about it. So yeah, that's a bad thing that could work out in our favor. Yeah, the environmental stuff is ridiculous. I think the worst aspect of this is just the sheer number of things that have nothing to do with COVID, just like the last time.